At the wedding venue of Emily and John, the host enthusiastically called out from the backstage.
Now let's welcome the bride, Miss Emily, to the stage.
Relatives cheered and clapped loudly. John's parents, sitting not far from him, beamed with joy, their faces glowing with happiness. They were finally seeing their son settle down, and naturally, they were delighted. The applause lasted for a long time, but Emily was nowhere to be seen.
What's going on, John? Go backstage and see what's happening with Emily.
Seeing the anxiety on his mother's face, John felt a surge of anger but had to suppress it, taking a deep breath. What now? Isn't it just her being dissatisfied again? From the wedding preparations to now, these past 3 months have nearly driven him crazy. Meeting the parents, choosing the date, arranging the gifts, booking the hotel, the dowry, the customs, Emily demanded that everything be done according to her family's traditions. He was marrying a wife, not joining her family.
Mom, I'll check it out.
Keeping his smile, John was about to ask his groomsmen to check backstage when a figure in a white dress stormed out from the back. Emily, her face full of anger, threw her phone at John's face with force.
John, explain this to me.
Rubbing his face where the phone hit, John bent down to pick it up. On the screen was a message of rejection.
Mr. John, after a decision by the company's top management, we regret to inform you that we cannot continue to employ you as the new general manager.
John was stunned, his mind buzzing, not understanding what was happening.
You lied to me. You said you were about to be appointed as the company's president. Otherwise, would I have agreed to marry you? I must have been blind to fall for a man like you. With so many wealthy suitors lining up for me, why should I marry a man who has nothing? This wedding is off!
Emily tore off her wedding headpiece and threw it to the ground before turning to leave. Before the wedding, she insisted that the headpiece be adorned with 99 small diamonds. John had no choice but to borrow some money from his good friend David. Fortunately, although there were many diamonds, they were small and not too expensive. Now, the headpiece lay on the ground, with countless tiny diamonds scattered across the stage.
Emily, let's talk this over. Don't be angry. Let's get married first, and then you and John can work things out.
Work things out? I don't have the time or patience to work things out with him. Your son is useless. He can't give me what I want.
Emily retorted, harshly brushing off John's mother's hand and ignoring her embarrassed expression as she resolutely walked away.
Emily, if you step out of this hotel today, don't ever expect me to come back.
However, she left without looking back, not sparing him a single glance. The atmosphere became awkward instantly. Relatives whispered among themselves, and John's face burned with embarrassment. Both sets of parents looked displeased. After a long while, Emily's mother forced a smile.
In-laws, this child is too immature. I'll make sure to teach her a lesson later.
John, don't be angry. Emily has been spoiled by me since she was little. She says whatever comes to her mind. You've been with her for so long, you should know she doesn't mean any harm. Yes, son-in-law, my daughter is just like that. I'll get to the bottom of this and give you a reasonable explanation.
Seeing John's displeased expression, Emily's parents awkwardly said their goodbyes and left. Relatives, after understanding this situation, offered some words of comfort before leaving as well. Only Uncle Tom's family seemed to take pleasure in John's misfortune.
Oh, I see what's going on. Your son got laid off? No wonder the girl threw away the headpiece and ran. Finding a job is so hard these days. She must be worried about the future. You should understand her.
Her son, unattractive, had to marry a woman from the countryside and was ridiculed by the villagers for a long time. But John's parents never said anything about it. Now, what was she trying to prove?
Mind your own, son. John graduated from a prestigious university and is good-looking. He can find a better job anytime. Stop talking nonsense.
Humph, he's already been fired, and you're still defending him. No wonder your son is going nowhere in life.
You.
Watching them bicker in front of him gave John a headache. His parents, seeing his exhaustion, said nothing more. The next day, Emily's father called, full of apologies.
John, Emily insists on ending things. Maybe it's best to call off the wedding. You're so outstanding, you'll definitely find someone better. And about the 288,000 yuan betrothal gift, I'll bring it to your parents in a couple of days. Don't be too upset, sigh.
My mom, hearing this, clutched her chest and collapsed onto the sofa, her face pale. I quickly dropped the phone and rushed to her side.
Uncle, tell Emily that I respect her decision. From now on, there will be no turning back for her with me, John.
I hung up. My mom sobbed on the sofa, her wrinkled hands rubbing the back of my hand to comfort me.
Son, it's okay. You and Emily are both good kids, it's just, you weren't meant to be.
Meant to be? Ha, Emily never cared about fate, she cared about money. Last night, I saw a picture on her social media of a man and a woman holding hands, the woman's hand adorned with a large diamond ring.
Mr. Smith, hope you're well.
Mr. Smith? A small-time leader at some company. Emily had mentioned him before, saying he spent tens of thousands trying to woo her, but she had firmly rejected him. I should have seen it coming. With her materialistic nature, it's no surprise they ended up together.
So what? I'm so beautiful, and so many wealthy guys are after me. My roommate, Wu, is dating a rich guy and flaunts it every day. Why can't I?
She looked at me with disdain.
I thought you were handsome and had excellent grades, thinking you'd get a high-paying job after graduation. But after 2 years of hard work, there's still no sign of success.
She turned away in disgust, opening her roommate Wuyu's social media and admiring the expensive gifts with envy. In the 3 years since graduation, I've worked tirelessly, often working late, traveling all over, exhausting myself. Negotiating business deals, drinking until my stomach hurt, yet pretending everything was fine.
Whenever I couldn't take it anymore, I'd call Emily. But she always hung up impatiently.
John, don't tell me how hard you're working. A capable man silently earns money for his wife instead of complaining to her. I'm tired of hearing it. Bye.
She was always like this. No matter how much I did for her, she never appreciated it. After 3 years, my initial passion for her was almost gone. An email from the company arrived half an hour ago.
Sorry, Manager John, the new HR staff accidentally sent the wrong number. Tomorrow, you'll be appointed as the new CEO at the shareholders meeting. Congratulations again.
I smirked, feeling it was ironic. Just a 3-hour difference. She couldn't wait for the company.
Half a month after being appointed as president, I was so busy that I barely had time to think about anything else. If it weren't for my mom's call, I would still be working around the clock.
John, Mom has something to tell you.
What is it, Mom?
It's about the betrothal money you gave to Emily. Mom borrowed that money from relatives, piecing it together bit by bit. Can you ask Emily's family to return it?
I paused. Didn't Emily's father say on the phone that he would return the betrothal money that night? It's been so long, and the money still hasn't been given back to my parents?
I'll handle it, Mom.
I called Emily's father.
Uncle, the night Emily broke off the engagement, you said you would return the betrothal money. That money was borrowed by my parents from relatives. When you have time, I'll come to pick it up so you don't have to go through the trouble of sending it.
On the other end, Emily's father went silent. After a while, he spoke.
John, the betrothal money was taken by Emily. You might want to contact her directly. We can't handle this.
I frowned, not understanding what they were up to. I then called Emily. The phone rang 3 times before it was hung up. Losing patience, I sent her a message on WeChat, typing each word carefully.
Please return the betrothal money. It was borrowed by my parents.
Her WeChat remained silent for a long time. Frustrated, I sent her another text before leaving work.
Stop pretending. If you don't want Mr. Smith to know you're not as perfect as you seem, return the money quickly.
Emily's WeChat exploded half a minute later. She sent 3 voice messages. I played them, and her high-pitched, sharp voice filled my office.
Are you out of your mind? How am I not perfect? Just because you're broke doesn't mean others can't spend money for me. You poor loser. How dare you threaten me? What money? I spent 3 years with you without a title, slept with you countless times, and wasted 3 years of my youth. That money isn't even enough compensation, and you want it back? John, don't disgust me by being shameless.
I clenched my phone, veins bulging on my hand. It seemed the betrothal money was gone for good. Talking to such a shameless woman was pointless. I called my mom, telling her to inform the relatives that I would repay them as soon as I got the money.
John, the relatives know about your broken engagement and job loss. They're pressing us to repay the money quickly. You need to find a way.
Son, even if they worked hard all year, they couldn't earn that much money. I understood the relatives' urgency, but who told them I lost my job?
I called David, my college roommate and a wealthy second generation. The noise on the other end was loud. David's playful voice teased me.
You got dumped by that woman? Ha! I told you she was materialistic. You were naive to think she would compromise for love. Borrowing money is no problem. It's just a word between brothers. But John, you need to handle your situation. The girl is almost crying at my place. Hurry up.
I was taken aback, casually agreeing. After hanging up, 300,000 yuan was instantly transferred to my Alipay. I sent the money to my parents, telling them it was returned by Emily's family to ease their minds. That night, lying in bed, I stared at the ceiling, unable to sleep. The girl David mentioned was Sophia. She had pursued me for 2 years, despite being rejected countless times, never giving up. When she heard about my engagement, she cried for 3 days and nights, almost driving David crazy. I shook my head, pushing her out of my mind. Right now, I only wanted to focus on my career. Love could wait. 3 months into my tenure as the CEO of Buyuan, the company, under my leadership, secured a multi-billion-dollar deal. The senior members of the board were all smiles during the meeting.
John! Excellent work, young man. You're diligent, capable, and we've made the right choice. Keep it up. We'll have the finance department give you a 10 million bonus.
Mr. Smith, a senior board member, patted my shoulder kindly.
Also, as the CEO of a group, you can't be without a car. Tomorrow, go to the company's dealership and pick out a car. Choose an expensive one. We can't have you looking shabby and embarrassing the company.
Thank you. I won't refuse such an offer. After all, this deal was something I had spent 2 years working on even before I took office. The amount of effort and manpower it took was immense. It was undoubtedly my achievement.
John, tonight at King Jiangnan, we've arranged a celebration banquet for you. Just make sure you're there on time.
I pretended to decline a couple of times, but seeing their determination, I gladly accepted. In the evening, I arrived at King Jiangnan alone. Since it wasn't far from the company, I walked over. King Jiangnan was a luxurious 5-star hotel, and the valet at the entrance seemed surprised to see me walking.
Sir, do you have a reservation? Not just anyone can enter here.
His disdainful look made me uncomfortable. This hotel's hospitality was lacking. How could they judge people by their appearance?
Haha, John, am I seeing this right? You want to enter King Jiangnan? Don't you know this place is for VIP members only?
Turning around, I saw my ex-girlfriend, Emily, dressed to the nines.
This isn't like the cheap restaurants you used to take me to. You need a membership card to get in here.
She pulled a gold-edged membership card from her handbag and handed it to the valet. The valet glanced at it and immediately became obsequious.
Oh, it's Mr. Smith's girlfriend. Please, go right in.
What, need me to take you in?
She took a couple of steps forward and looked at me disdainfully.
Oh, I forgot. Tonight, Mr. Smith is celebrating our 1-month anniversary. If I take you in, he'll get jealous. Don't come to places like this anymore. Someone like you doesn't belong here.
I clenched my fists, seething at her arrogance. Just then, Andrew, the company's marketing manager, arrived.
Mr. John, you haven't gone up yet? Oh dear, I must have forgotten to notify the hotel manager about the new personnel. Come on, everyone's waiting for you. They won't start without you.
Andrew showed his company ID to the valet, who immediately stepped aside respectfully, even blushing as he stole glances at me. I gave him a cold look.
Our hotel needs to be more careful when hiring staff, especially regarding their manners. People come here to dine happily, but getting angry before even entering the door is bad for business.
Yes, I'll make sure to address this issue.
Our conversation made Emily stop in her tracks. She seemed surprised but quickly sneered.
TSK, John, you're so pathetic. You must have found some actors after seeing on social media that Mr. Smith and I are celebrating here tonight. Give it up, John. I told you, you're not good enough for me. No matter how much you pine for me, it's useless. My boyfriend is a company president, not someone like you. Why bother putting on a show?
I looked at her coldly, a sneer almost escaping my lips. Putting on a show for her? To win her back? She really thought too highly of herself. Andrew looked at us in confusion.
Mr. John,
I couldn't be bothered with this nonsense and ignored her, intending to go straight in. But she blocked my way.
Hey, are you really planning to go in? If you get kicked out of the hotel lobby, it'll be embarrassing. Don't make a scene.
Her overbearing attitude was too much even for Andrew. As the marketing manager, he was skilled at reading people and situations. He quickly understood the tension between Emily and me. Seeing that I remained silent, knowing I wouldn't stoop to arguing, he stepped in for me.
Good dogs don't block the way. Are you out of your mind? With Mr. John's status, do you think he needs to deal with someone like you? There are plenty of women for him to choose from.
Emily's face turned pale, her eyes filled with anger.
You! Darling, look, they're bullying me.
A slick-looking man approached quickly, a smile plastered on his face.
Ah! Mr. John! Mr. John, hello! I'm the vice president of Leha Company. Do you remember me? Last time, during our company's bid for suppliers, you said you would prioritize our products next time.
Leha Company? Oh, I remember. I personally inspected a batch of goods from our company and found that one company's products were substandard. I immediately decided never to use them again. It seems my message wasn't clearly conveyed. I never said I would use their products next time.
Mr. Smith, let's not talk about whether we'll use your company's products. Where did you find this girlfriend of yours? She's been causing trouble everywhere. Can you control her?
Without a word, Mr. Smith stepped forward and slapped Emily.
You fool! Did you forget your medication today? How dare you offend Mr. John from Weiyuan Group? Do you want to get beaten? Kneel down and apologize to Mr. John immediately.
Emily covered her face, looking at Mr. Smith in disbelief, tears welling up in her eyes.
Darling, I
apologize now. If Mr. John misunderstands me because of you, you'll regret it.
Mr. Smith's face twisted with anger, showing no sign of affection for Emily. I chuckled and walked into the hotel.
Mr. John? Mr. John, please wait.
Behind me, Andrew blocked Mr. Smith's path, leaving him to watch helplessly as I disappeared. I didn't think about what would happen to Emily afterward. She always aimed too high. She deserved what she got. After a few drinks, I went to the restroom. Unexpectedly, I ran into Emily. The slap mark on her face was still visible. When she saw me, her face lit up with hope.
John, I'm sorry. I was provoked by your message that day, which is why I acted that way. Can you forgive me?
I found it laughable. Now that she knew I was a millionaire CEO, she wanted to get back with me?
Emily, I told you, the moment you stepped out of that hotel, you were out of my life for good. Go live your life with Mr. Smith.
But John, can you really forget the past? Do you know how I've been living this past month? I can't help but recall our sweet moments. You worked so hard for me, striving to climb up. Now that you've succeeded, I'm happy for you.
I looked at her tear-streaked face, devoid of any emotion. How could she say such shameless things? Did she forget she hadn't blocked me on social media? If I hadn't seen her flaunting her relationship with Mr. Smith every day, I might have believed her. So, she was showing off her love with Mr. Smith while secretly reminiscing about me, the poor guy who struggled for 3 years and ended up with nothing? Who would believe that?
Emily, I don't have time for your melodrama. You want to come back, but I don't want you anymore. Live your own life.
John, how can you be so heartless? Do you think it's easy for me? Do you know that Mark is actually a twisted person? He looks decent but abuses me in private.
She cried, suddenly lifting her shirt to show me the scars on her back and arms. The sight of those marks was shocking. I frowned at the injuries, but what did they have to do with me? She chose this path herself. She wanted the appearance of a glamorous life, and someone was willing to give it to her. What more could she want? Calling me heartless, didn't she think about that when she abandoned me at the wedding, making my parents a laughingstock? Over the years, her sharp tongue had eroded all my feelings for her. My indifferent gaze made Emily break down, and she screamed at me.
John, if it weren't for you, would I be like this? If it weren't for your incompetence, I wouldn't have ended up with this twisted man. Now that you're a high and mighty CEO, you look down on me, don't you? Ha!
Emily, don't blame others. This is all your own doing. You know how I treated you before. You ruined everything yourself. You have no one else to blame.
Leaving the hotel, the night breeze sobered me up. Reflecting on the years with Emily, there were sweet moments. I called David and asked him to investigate Mark. Uncle Tom was fuming, his face red with rage. The tension in the room was palpable.
Mind your own, son. John graduated from a prestigious university and is good looking. He can find a better job anytime. Stop talking nonsense.
The woman sneered, not backing down.
Humph, he's already been let go, and you're still defending him. No wonder your son is going nowhere in life.
You.
Watching them bicker in front of me gave me a headache. My parents, seeing my exhaustion, said nothing more. Grace entered the private room and took off her black hat and sunglasses. The young girl looked even more radiant than before.
John, I heard your girlfriend broke off the engagement on the spot? What kind of shameless woman would do that? The man I would beg to marry, she just throws away like that.
I chuckled. This girl really wore her heart on her sleeve. She was speaking up for me, but her smile stretched all the way to her ears. Seeing that I wasn't responding, she moved closer.
Brother, don't be upset. That woman didn't appreciate you, but you still have me. Consider me, please.
She leaned her soft body towards me, and I gently pushed her away.
If you want to talk, just talk. Don't get so close.
Oh, come on, brother. Just say yes. You used to reject me because you had a girlfriend, and it made me so sad. Now that you're single, won't you give me a chance? I don't care, I want to be your girlfriend.
She ignored my words and leaned in even closer. I frowned and spoke more sternly.
Grace, you're a girl. Watch your behavior.
What did I do? I didn't do anything to you, brother.
Suddenly, the door to the private room was pushed open from the outside. I quickly grabbed the clothes on the chair and covered Grace. If the paparazzi caught this, it would cause a lot of trouble. To my surprise, it was Emily standing at the door. She looked furious, like a wife catching her husband cheating.
John, you're something else. No wonder you were so heartless when I begged you that day. Turns out you were already involved with another woman. I want to see which vixen is seducing you.
She stormed in and yanked the clothes off Grace's head.
Haha, it's you, Grace. I knew you had bad intentions towards John. Last time I caught you, you said you only saw him as a brother. Liar. John is mine, and you think you can take him from me?
She cursed and swung her hand towards Grace's face. I quickly pushed her away. She lost her balance and fell to the ground, looking at me in disbelief, her voice shrill.
John, you pushed me? You pushed me for her?
Emily, you're out of control. We already broke up. What's the point of this?
On our wedding day, you thought I was removed from my CEO position and, despite the objections of both families and everyone else, you called off the wedding.
Now that I'm reinstated, you want to cling to me again.
I looked down at her coldly.
Emily, don't be so shameless.
John, you're calling me shameless? You never used to talk to me like this. You always cherished me.
Ha, she knew that was in the past. She trampled on my dignity. Was I an idiot to still cherish her?
But I love you. I still love you deeply. You can't abandon me.
Emily sat on the ground, lost and helpless, crying pitifully. I was furious and wanted her to leave. The door was wide open, and the noise had attracted a crowd outside. Sensing trouble, I quickly covered Grace with the clothes and left without looking back at Emily on the floor. Our situation was soon posted online by someone with an agenda. Given Grace's public figure status and her thousands of fans, the online comments were overwhelmingly negative. Everyone was cursing me. In the office, I had a headache watching the online frenzy. Someone even posted a video of me pushing Emily to the ground, taken out of context. The board had called several times.
John, what's going on? The internet is buzzing with rumors that you're our CEO, saying you climbed the social ladder. Although we trust your character, this is bad for the company's image. You need to handle this or else.
Ha, I laughed coldly. Just fire me already, you bunch of old foxes. I've brought them billions in profits, but in a crisis, they'd still throw me under the bus. I was already troubled by this, and Grace got dragged into it because of me. If this caused any harm to the White family, I couldn't even imagine the consequences. The situation took an unexpected turn the next day. Someone posted a video online of Emily leaving me at our wedding.
Latest update. Turns out Emily isn't the victim. She's the one to blame. I have a friend who sent me a video of her running away from John at the wedding. Here it is, everyone. Take a look.
By the time I noticed this comment, the video of Emily calling me useless had been downloaded millions of times. The power of the internet is terrifying.
Damn! Emily is such a manipulative person. Yesterday, she was crying so much in the video that I almost believed she was really wronged. Turns out she brought it on herself. Ugh.
So, John and Sophia are the real victims here. This woman's scheming is terrifying. I almost believed her.
Emily, that awful person. dared to mess with my idol. She's done for.
The thousands of comments made my head spin. I still hadn't figured out what was going on when I saw another tweet. Sophia, the heiress, clarifies the situation. John is her true love. I quickly clicked on the video. It was Grace holding a press conference.
Please don't slander my John anymore. He's just an ordinary person who can't handle this kind of stress. If you have any questions, ask me.
Miss Sophia, is it true that John is as fickle as people say, trying to take a shortcut in life?
How could that be? My John is such an outstanding man. He's always worked hard on his own. I've seen his struggles. Some people don't appreciate him, but I do. I've always been the one pursuing him, it has nothing to do with him.
Miss Sophia, since the incident yesterday, John hasn't said a word in his defense. Are you sure you're not just infatuated and one-sidedly in love?
The reporter's questions were sharp and harsh. I watched Grace nervously, afraid she might break down. However, she was stronger than I imagined. She smiled brightly.
John doesn't bother to explain these things. The truth will come out. As for John, I admit, I am one-sidedly in love. He hasn't agreed to be my boyfriend yet.
The reporters were in an uproar. They probably didn't expect that a poor guy like me wouldn't seize the chance to climb up the social ladder.
John is a man of integrity and loyalty. I hope everyone stops slandering him. He's my hero.
Watching Grace's proud face in the video, I felt a warmth in my heart. Some emotions were about to burst out.
Mr. John, something's wrong.
I frowned at him. What is it?
Mr. White is here.
My heart skipped a beat. Mr. White himself came? This was serious. When I met Mr. White in the reception room, I understood that some people are born leaders. Mr. White was energetic, with eyes as sharp as knives.
Are you John? Did you see the press conference Sophia held? Come to the White residence tomorrow.
After saying these two sentences, he got up and left. I was stunned. What did this mean? That night, I called Grace, but her phone went unanswered. I started to panic. Was Grace being scolded by her parents for defending me? However, when I arrived at the White residence the next day, their warm reception shocked me. Grace's older brother patted my shoulder.
I'm entrusting my beloved sister to you. If you dare treat her badly, I'll beat you up.
Not bad. Just a bit inferior to me. 80 points, keep it up.
Mr. and Mrs. White smiled and wanted to greet me, but Mr. White coughed heavily behind them.
John, today we're all family here. Just tell me, what do you think of my granddaughter?
Facing Grace's expectant eyes, I smiled slightly. Mr. White, she has a place in my heart. The Whites visibly relaxed.
Then you should get married soon to quell this online mess.
I was dumbfounded. Was it really that simple? When Mr. White spoke, who dared to disobey? Our wedding preparations went full steam ahead. Later, I found out that the Whites had thoroughly investigated me inside and out. That night, on the way back, Grace looked at me timidly.
John, you're not agreeing to marry me just because I held that press conference, right? I don't want you to feel forced.
I ruffled her hair. Silly girl, if I didn't like you, no one could force me. You should know that. Grace smiled like a child who had just gotten a treat.
John, I knew you loved me.
I smiled slightly. She was a lovely and passionate woman. It was hard not to be moved by her. 6 months later, I married Grace. The day before the wedding, I received a call from an unknown number. It turned out to be Emily's parents.
John, I know we have no right to ask this, but could you please visit our daughter? She's being harassed online and bullied by that man named Mr. Smith. Please, have mercy on her and help her.
I knew about Emily's online harassment. After all, I had a hand in it.
That night, she had set a trap. After being slapped by Mark, she came out of the private room crying. I initially felt sorry for her and wanted to comfort her. But then I saw her walk to a secluded corner and make a phone call. She was plotting something with someone on the other end. Though I couldn't hear her words clearly, the malicious expression on her face stopped me in my tracks.
You want me to visit her, and then what? What if she insists on coming back to me?
Then you should get back together. John, you know how much Emily loves you. Give her another chance. You two can work things out.
I'm getting married. Please don't contact me again.
This family had insulted and belittled me before. Not seeking revenge was already giving them face. And now they wanted me to reconcile with Emily? What a joke! An hour before my wedding to Grace, I received a text from Emily.
John, can you not get married? I was wrong. I shouldn't have been so materialistic and trampled on your dignity. Can you give me a chance to make amends?
I found it amusing and deleted the message immediately. Late apologies are worthless. I couldn't afford her so-called affection. A few days later, Andrew called me.
Mr. John, as per your instructions, we've released all the reports about Mark's faulty products, along with photos of his indiscretions. He's now a public enemy, and his company has gone bankrupt. I heard the staff there are causing a lot of trouble because Mark took all the company's money. Many people are looking for Mark now, wholesalers, suppliers, even the police, because he's involved in embezzlement too. Even his girlfriend has been harassed several times. I heard she was expecting and lost the baby due to the stress.
Listening to Andrew's hesitant words, I understood. He was talking about Emily.
All right, no need to follow up on this.
After hanging up, I kissed Grace beside me. Was this the outcome I wanted? Not really. I had once genuinely cherished a woman. But she wasn't content. Fortunately, I finally found the one who truly mattered to me.